And when their part of the story of your life is over, as one of my mentors, Dr. George Fraser, said, bless them and release them.
There it is.
I wish you well. I wish you nothing. I wish no harm to you. But we can no longer continue to move forward together. But I got to go on my healing journey with integrity so that I can be the best version of myself for when she does show up. And I think that speaks to the second thing, Champ, which is we got to make sure that we're ready for what we're asking God for.
Teach.
One of the biggest things that we talked about in Jamaica is a lot of the women in that sister circle, they said, you know what? I realize that I'm asking God for all this stuff, but I haven't taken the time to be
what I'm asking
the
for.
very thing I'm asking for.
Yep.
So when it shows up, it shows you a mirror
Yep.
of what you're not.
Yeah.
And so we have to be really, really careful because I believe a lot of us are out here saying, oh, I want this, I want that. You want something real until something real shows up. And when that real thing shows up and it scares the heck out of you.
Yep.
I never imagined my public healing would inspire others to heal across the world.
I thank you for using him to reach the world with the message of hope in relationships.
But your life does not.
God, you are my publicist. We laughed. We shared the unadulterated truth.
He said, not only have I not divorced you, I ain't exposed you.
We didn't marry fans, we married forever. And we wanted forever to act like a fan.
Reveal her, Jesus.
I will not compromise on getting a woman of God.
You don't have to.
And Father, I declare for his future wifey, thank you for preserving her.
This season, I declare miracles and
See
manifestations.
you selling scripts.
And you're unique. You ain't like nobody else. I noticed that right away. You being true to who you are, you're going to attract. It's a Hebrew word, hayil, and it was translated wealth. And it means people, it means men, it means resources, and it means means.
I'm Delatorro Whitfield, and this is the Dear Future Wifey podcast.
Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm your host, Delatorro R. Whitfield. Listen, man, season 6 has been absolutely amazing. Like I told you, we're going to be going for 33 episodes. We're going to do 33 episodes this season. But listen, are you still shacking up with us? If you're still shacking up with us, come on, can we make a commitment? Can we just make a commitment? Hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. A lot of y'all have been just DMing me about, man, these podcasts have been speaking so much to your lives, been pouring into you. A lot of you have been on this healing journey with me. And I just thank God for this platform that he's created. We'll be in the Bahamas on, June the 2nd and the 3rd. The 2nd will be in Freeport. On the 3rd, we'll be in Nassau. So make sure y'all purchase those tickets and come check us out. 242 to the world. Y'all know what I'm talking about? You know, those that know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. So listen, today's episode is going to be absolutely amazing. I got my boy. Like, when I tell y'all how we connected, it was just God. I'm telling y'all, before I introduce him, I prayed in 2020 for God to connect me to more brethren. Because I was unbalanced. I had a whole lot of female friends, but I didn't have enough males, comrades on this journey. And so I believe that this brother was someone I manifested in my life, and you're going to see how intricate God was in interweaving him into this story in the fabric of my life. So without further ado, welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. My homie, Dr. Delatorro McNeal II.
Love
What's
you,
up,
Chad,
brother?
man. What's going on?
Yes,
Doc?
sir,
You good?
King.
Good
Yes,
to see
sir.
you, baby. Absolutely, man.
So listen, man, how did we meet?
We met in Atlanta.
Right.
Dr. Jamal Bryant, you had hosted your podcast. It was absolutely incredible. It was the same weekend that Dr. Bernice King was doing her 60th birthday celebration. So I was not able to make it to the actual taping because I was at her event.
Right.
But Dr. Jamal was like, hey, come to the brunch that we're having, because New Birth was having a singles weekend.
Right.
It was an incredible series of events. And he said, come to the brunch. So I came to the brunch on Sunday. I'm sitting there chilling with him. Next thing you know, 5 minutes into the brunch, you come and sit right across from me, brother. And I'm like, this is crazy, because I had just remixed one of your powerful videos 2 weeks before.
Right.
And I was like, man, how am I going to meet this brother? Because I love the work that he's doing. And man, that letter that you read spoke to my entire heart and spirit, because I had just recently gone through a breakup myself, and our stories were so interconnected, brother. You really spoke to my heart, man.
Man, let me tell you something. When you showed me that video, I was like, gosh, God is so intentional. Because you got to understand, for me to even post that video, that episode of the Healing for Heartbreak episode.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's the highest level of vulnerability I've ever walked in. And what you remixed was a letter that the girl I was in love with has sent me. Yeah. She was on Facebook and she read this letter that this guy posted. It was talking about when lovers leave.
Yes.
And she used that to communicate in her best way of why she felt I can't say inadequate in a relationship. She just wasn't ready.
Correct. Yep.
And she felt like she needed more healing.
Yeah.
And so for us to connect on that, I mean, we forgot we was at the table with everybody else.
We forgot we was at the brunch, man. We got talking. We got in. We was like, we need some bro time, because this version of the story is not told often.
Talk about it.
Man, this is the version where we are ready as men. We've done the work. We've done the healing. We've gone through the process, but she's not ready.
There it is.
And man, it spoke to me so much, because you said, let's try to heal without personalizing love's leavings.
There it is.
And man, that spoke to me so much, because Don Miguel Ruiz wrote a great book called The 4 Agreements. One of the agreements in that book is don't take anything personal. And that's something that I've been working on.
Me too.
Because at the end of the day, people make choices for their own reasons.
Yes.
And we have to learn to disconnect and disassociate ourselves from their choices.
There it is.
Because the truth is, Bishop T.D. Jakes just said this, we're all born looking like our parents, but we die looking like our choices. I'm going to say that again. We're all born looking like our parents, but we die looking like our choices and our decisions. So we've got to make the intentional decision. If we're going to heal, we have to allow people to go on their own journey without us taking it too personal. And that's hard. That's easier said than done, brother. Because especially us as men, we don't get the credit for when, because I believe often we're so bashed for not having it together, not having the money together, not having the healing. We didn't go, you out there hoeing around, blah, blah, blah. But what about the men that aren't doing that?
Yeah.
And brother, I went through mine right after you went through yours.
So what month did you go through yours? First of all, let's back up.
Yeah,
let's see, what should be the title of this episode? We talked about
The Untold Story, brother.
The Untold Story. What would that leave people? It just leave people wondering.
Maybe the untold story of how.
Because you said something about emotionally unavailable.
Yeah, exactly. Because in both of our situations, she was emotionally unavailable. She wasn't ready. And I believe, honestly, Lateris, there's a lot of women out there who are emotionally unavailable. They're not ready for an evolved brother to really step into the picture. And I even showed you video proof of people who have stepped into my life since that breakup trying to connect. And they said, man, I prayed for this. I prayed for you. I wanted you to show up. You showed up, and it scared the mess out of me. So is it possible?
I've heard people say that. I'm hearing women actually say that now. I've had a woman DM me before, and she said, I just experienced, she said, I was the woman that you experienced. She said it was a guy that I was dating. And matter of fact, it was an episode that I did with Nicole Kane.
Yes.
And she talked about the same time I dropped that video, she had kicked this guy to the curb because she was emotionally unavailable. And this guy was so intentional, and she was just like, I don't know what to do with this.
Right.
And I said, listen, don't do him like that.
I'm telling you.
Don't do him like that. She's like, what, Lateria? I said, don't. Call that brother back.
Yeah.
Because she said, I just need time. Just give me a few weeks. I said, stop doing that.
That's right.
People be thinking they have the luxury of giving people time.
You can't pick people up and put people down whenever you want. We're not jackets.
No.
Right? We have feelings. We have emotions. And especially when there's children involved. I'm a brilliant, black, involved, dedicated father. I got 2 teenage girls, 17 and 15. And in my particular situation, she decided that she wasn't ready and left town and didn't say anything to my daughters.
Your daughters had a relationship with her?
Yeah, absolutely. The last conversations that she had with my daughters was, what color bridesmaid dress will look great up against your skin tone? That was the last conversation, because we were planning a destination wedding in Jamaica.
So y'all were engaged?
So watch this, Lateris. going to Jamaica for the retreat with you all was actually healing for me, brother.
Because I
had not been back to Jamaica since the breakup. So I was so grateful that I went. And one of the questions I was asked was, hey, did you go to the retreat? Were you looking for a honey? I wasn't looking for a honey. I was looking for healing. I wanted to heal. I went into the ocean and I released stuff, brother. I journaled every day. I wasn't trying to get over someone by getting under someone else.
Teach.
I wanted to do it the correct way. And there's a lot of us out here. There are evolved, brilliant men out here. And the challenge that's happening, y'all, I honestly believe this, Laterris, what's happening is because so many women have been done so wrong by so many men.
Talk about
By
it.
the time the right man shows up, they don't know how to process a good man. So they make a good man pay the price that a bad man should have paid.
Dr. Delatorro, you woke up and chose violence. I thought we were going to have a nice little old comfortable conversation. You woke up and chose violence. So since we're here, we're here. We're going to come up with the title of this episode after the fact.
Yes, sir.
Because
Yes,
we're going
sir.
to get into it.
Yeah, man.
So you met this woman. How long ago? When did you meet this particular woman?
We met like a year ago. We dated for 10 months. And, I took her around to all my mentors and took her on the road with me. We traveled, did the whole 9 yards. And it seemed like it was a good fit. She seemed like she was all the way in, excited, ready. And the whole 9 yards, we got engaged. I proposed at the Grand Canyon because I had a speaking engagement in Phoenix, Arizona. So we decided to drive, make a road trip out of it. I surprised her. She had no clue. She said yes. I had already worked with her family to get a video of all the congratulations and stuff like that. And then,
So how long into it did you know that she was your wife?
I believed it. She was my wife. I knew 4 months into it. And she said, watch this. She said she had gotten confirmation. So I felt like I had confirmation, and she said she got total confirmation that was it. So I'm like, all right, good. We good to go, right? So what happens, watch this, Laterris, when you feel like you heard from God?
There it is.
What happens when you feel like you heard from him, and then now you don't trust yourself anymore?
Oh, God. We here now. Go ahead.
We all
Because I
in it.
had to process all that. You're going. You right on my street because I had
Yeah,
to process
man.
that. I said, God, I can't be crazy. I know your voice. You said
Yeah.
your sheep recognize your voice. I heard what you said.
Right.
Now, how in the world? And the only way I could relegate it to was we all have free choice.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I could have heard God's voice, which I still believe I did. It's
Yeah.
just the other person had free will whether to decide
Right.
to accept or not.
And I think what happened in my particular case was not throwing anybody under the bus, no names, none of that. We weren't even on social media, so it's all good. But I think it happened in my particular case is that we were getting to a point where we were planning the wedding, but we weren't working enough on the marriage. And so I had put together a letter. I said, okay, let's do a SWOT analysis on the relationship.
This
Because
joker said we're gonna do a SWOT analysis.
yeah, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So I was like, so let's really analyze where we are with the relationship.
This is what he do for a living. So this is he'll a motivational speaker. He go into companies and help dissect and rebuild. So you're gonna do a SWOT analysis on your relationship. Brilliant.
Yeah. So we went to the beach. I wrote her a letter and I said, hey, let's talk through the various aspects of the relationship, good, the bad, where we got to grow, where I got to grow, where she can grow, et cetera, et cetera. Because I'm like, why put all this energy into the wedding and the destination wedding and all stuff and get all these people involved and coming all the way overseas to celebrate something that we have not made sure was solid. So I put it in writing. I said, these are some of the things we got to grow in. And one of the areas that I requested growth in was it's time to go to therapy because there were some challenges that she had.
Yeah.
And she had not gone to therapy about it. And I've been to therapy. I have paid for therapy. And I'm here to tell you on the show, healed is the new sexy. Healed is the new sexy.
Teach.
And we need Jesus and a therapist.
Teach.
We need Bible and mental health.
Yeah.
Because I believe most of us are chronically churched but clinically depressed.
Okay, Dr. Delatorro. No, you're gonna have to break this down. Why do you say that we are chronically churched?
We're chronically churched because we show up every Sunday. We show up on online services. We do all of the what I call church gymnastics. I've been in church my whole life. So we go through all the church gymnastics and we've gotten to a point to where it's rote. It's automatic. It's on autopilot, right? So we're chronically churched, but those wounds are still there. Anything that you have not dealt with, any traumas, anything that you have not dealt with professionally, You can drive your car up to the church parking lot all day long. If the engine is bad and you haven't taken it to a mechanic, it's going to leave that church parking lot in the same condition.
Teach.
And I think so oftentimes we show up and I think we expect a lot, almost too much, in my opinion, from, and I'm not saying God can do anything. That's not what I'm saying. But scripture says the earth and the Lord and the fullness thereof. So everything belongs to God. But guess what? He gave us mental health professionals so that we could do the work that we need to do. And the truth is, Lateris, we go through mental and emotional train wrecks in our lives.
Yeah.
And we get a, think about it. If you get in a car accident, even if you fine,
Yep.
they still make you go to
They
the
still
emergency
make you
room
go, yep.
just to make sure everything's good. They do x-rays and all that stuff.
To make sure ain't no internal bleeding, no internal damage.
How many of us have internal bleeding, hemorrhaging, broken bones, broken hearts, broken expectations, broken intentions, broken goals, broken trust, broken all this stuff, and we never go to the hospital of our emotional and mental health to make sure that we're okay. Why? Because most of us are trained and taught to lead while we bleed. I'm going to say it again. The problem is all of us are overachievers. We're high achievers. So because we're high achievers, we constantly have to lead while we bleed. So we don't take a time out. So unfortunately, and I've even asked my therapist this, I said, what percentage of people do you believe heal between relationships before they go into the next one?
Oh, yeah, that's probably.
She said 97% of people do not take the time to heal between a relationship before they go into the next one.
Yeah.
So we're all bringing massive amounts of brokenness to a relationship, and we wonder why it doesn't work. So I had made it a requirement. I said, listen, we got to go to therapy. She got scared. She got concerned. She said, and she had what I now learned to be a trauma response to that particular part of the letter. She asked me to give her 3 days at a hotel. I paid for her to have 3 days at a hotel for her to figure herself out, what she wanted to do, paid for the hotel, paid for her meals, everything. And I thought she was going to come back and say, okay, hey, let's work things out. And she said, I want to go back home. And so she packed up all her stuff and went back home. Didn't say anything to my daughters, didn't say anything. And so.
And this was in February?
February of this year.
So when you recorded that video, that was the same, the same week?
It was the following month because I took my daughters to Atlanta for spring break, and that's when I filmed your remix. And then a month after that is when I met you in person.
So when were you planning on getting married?
It was supposed to be August. It was supposed to be this
This
August.
coming up August.
Yeah, this coming up August.
So that happened in February. You proposed
in November.
So you proposed in November. Y'all hadn't did any premarital counseling prior to that.
No.
And you said, hey, this is what we're going to need before we get married.
Right.
She said, give me 3 days. 3 days happened. She said,
I'm out.
But never said that to you.
I don't want to be engaged. I don't want to be married. I don't want nothing. I just want to go home.
Did she tell you that before she left?
To my face. Yeah, she told me that to my face. She said, you check every box that there is to check, and boxes I didn't even know needed to be checked. She said, I know I will never meet another Dr. Delatorro for the rest of my life, but I just need to vacate. I just need to go. And here's the challenging part. When she made those choices, all the mentors that had been giving us advice over Zoom, spiritual mothers of mine, et cetera, who had given us counseling over Zoom, she wouldn't talk to any of them. And I said, we owe them the decency of a call, because that was our first major issue that we dealt with. And I think that's another important thing. I think all of us are so focused on love languages. I think that's actually a secondary or third level conversation. The first conversation we need to be having to check alignment is, what are your conflict resolution skills and what are your conflict resolution styles? When challenges come, any of us can Netflix and chill. Any of us can go on trips and cruises. Any of us can, when things are great, they're great. But how do you handle when things get tough, difficult, and hard? Do you have rules of engagement for how you interact with one another and how you make sure that when storms come, they don't destroy the entire relationship? And I begged. I said, please don't do this. Please don't do this. And she was like, I'm out. I didn't even get a chance to make peace with her family, who adored me. I didn't get a chance to make peace with her niece, who adored me. Every time she saw me, she jumped and cradled herself in my arms. It was just a complete detachment. And so it was devastating for me. And I think it's important that women hear this. And I think it's important that men and women hear this. One of my mentors taught me this, Lateris. People remember two things: how you enter their life and how you exit their life. A lot of stuff in the middle will get forgotten. And Dr. Maya Angelou took it a step further. She said, people will forget what you say. They'll forget what you do, but they'll
remember
never forget
how you made you feel.
How you made them feel.
Yep.
So I think it's vitally important that we exit better. I think we need to be more mature and responsible for how we exit something. And if it's not working, be man enough, be woman enough to sit down, look that person in the eye. You know how many times y'all looked each other in the eye to have dinner, looked each other in the eye to kiss, looked each other in the eye to do a bunch of other stuff? Be mature enough to say, this isn't working, here's why, I need to vacate. Because at the end of the day, we all desire closure. The human mind hates open loops.
Yes.
And here's the truth psychologically. If the human mind sees a gap or a loop, what we tend to do is fill it in.
You fill it in with whatever.
And we tend to fill it in with negative information.
Yep.
Because the average person thinks 65,000 separate transactional thoughts per day. 85% of those are negative.
Yep.
So in the absence of information, we tend to fill in absences with mess, with garbage. So when you ghost, when you don't text, when you silent treatment, when you do all of these tactics that you were taught to do, you are literally leaving it up to your romantic partner to fill in. And I guarantee you what they're filling in is not good and it's not healthy. I'm convinced of this. Relationships do not go south over abundance. They go south over scarcity.
Facts.
So we have to learn how to really be, I err on the side of over communicating.
Yes.
I err, my default is to over communicate to a woman. You ain't got to ask me what time my flight leaves. I'm gonna send you my whole schedule. Yeah. I volunteer information. So that way you ain't even got to ask. I want you to feel so safe. You know, I got two amazing girls. I make sure that whoever's in my life knows there is nothing between me and the baby mama but co-parenting. That's it. And I've never gone back to an ex for anything, especially intimately. I don't chew my gum twice. Does that make sense? I believe in boundaries. Once I'm done, I'm done.
Oh, this joker said he owns chew his gum twice. Listen, Dr. Delatorro, let me tell you something.
Is this making sense, champ?
Well, it's just, I feel like I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, bro.
Like it's very rare that you get a chance to have a conversation like this with somebody that's just the mirror of you.
Bro.
And the way you communicate, bro, it's like when you're talking about over communicating, making sure that like flight schedules and be like, that's beautiful because, but you have to realize that that's rare.
Yeah.
A lot of that is what prompted the triggers.
Yeah.
Because, and what I think, the girl that I love, what I thank her for is that she shared with me that stuff after the fact. We talked after all that. You know, we spent about a month and a half not communicating, and then she came back around and said, let me just tell you what it was.
Yeah.
And she started adding more insight into it and had gone back into therapy and began to unpack some stuff. And I appreciate it because at first, like you said, you'd be like, God, what the heck? I've been on my best behavior. This is my best version. What in the world?
That part.
I'm like,
man.
you know, and I always say I only get about good one like every 3 years. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, this is somebody I was very intentional about, and that don't happen often with me.
Yeah.
And it's like, now how did that happen, God? And then when it gets to the point to where you begin to question whether or not you heard God correctly, that's when it starts doing a number on you. It does a number on you. But I love what you're saying. What you about to say?
I called my therapist the day she left. I called my therapist and had a session the day she left. Because I believe that we all should keep a mental health professional on speed dial.
Yeah.
Because I knew I had just encountered a massive, I mean, literally, I felt completely blindsided.
Yeah.
And every one of my mentors and coaches and people, we had already put deposits on we had just gone to Jamaica for her birthday. I took her to Jamaica for a week for her birthday. She said no one had ever celebrated her birthday. So I took her to Jamaica for a week so we could audition the property. That was in January. And Super Bowl weekend, my whole world was flipped upside down. I cried so hard that night when she said she was done and she wanted to leave. My nose bled all over my pillow. That's real talk. And I said, please don't do this, because my daughters had trusted her, had opened up to her. And it wasn't just her leaving me. It's like, okay, you're leaving a family. And I opened up my whole world to her. She met clients, took her all over the country, traveling, all this stuff like that. And my level of friends and my level of clients is high level folks.
Yeah.
So I had to make phone calls. I'm like, this is what happened. And people were praying for me and people covered me. Yeah. But man, I cried hard because one of my best friends, he said this. He said, let the hurt hurt.
Yes.
Don't try to pray it away. Don't try to fast it away. No. Let the hurt. And that thing hurt me, man. And here's the thing. I'm a giver. And man, bruh, this is going to help somebody right now. For everyone who is a giver, please, man, woman, boy, girl, please listen to me. As a giver, we tend to just generously lavish people with love, gifts, all 5 of the love languages, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you have to learn how to set boundaries because leeches don't have boundaries. And givers automatically attract what? Takers.
Yep.
And takers love to just, and they don't get tired of it. Mosquitoes don't get tired of sucking your blood. Mm-hmm. Leeches don't either.
Yep.
And so we have to learn how to not overextend ourselves. And I'm going to take it a step further. Growing up, me and my father are best friends. I'm named after my dad. But man, when I was a kid, my parents divorced when I was 2. So for a long time, I didn't get a chance to have the relationship with my dad that I wanted. So I was always the one calling, always the one trying to tap dance and perform at school so he would show up. I was taught, Laterris, that love was overextending myself. And all he had to do was come 10% and barely show up. And I came to 90, and that's what I programmed in my mind as a child that love was.
There it is.
So I learned that love was performance-based instead of position-based.
Stop. You got to stop. You got to stop. Let that settle.
Yeah.
You said you learned that love was performance-based rather than position-based.
Yes. So we all should experience positional love.
Yes.
You are loved because you're my son, because you're my daughter, because you're my significant other. Boo, or it's complicated. You're loved just because of who you are, not because of what you do. We're human beings, not human doings. So at the end of the day, we should be loved just because of who we are. Lord, I worship you because of who you are.
There it is.
Right? So we should be loved just because of who we are. And so it took therapy to teach me this, that I learned a dysfunctional love as a child. That I craved that love from my dad so bad that I was do whatever it took to overperform to get that. So what it taught me was, in romantic relationships, overextend yourself. Call multiple times, text multiple times. It's okay to be the one paying for all the dinners, paying for all the trips, doing Captain Save-A-Ho, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because that's what love is. Love is overextending yourself. And it took me going through therapy, learning how to deal with my dad wounds, learning how to deal with needing to be needed, learning how to deal with attachment style issues, learning how to deal with abandonment issues, and healing all of that to get to a whole place where I am. Now, I am absolutely, positively the best version of myself right now. And I will only, they asked me and Jay when we were at the taping in Jamaica, why are y'all single? Because we have standards.
And then people don't realize they see you single today, but they don't know what happened to you yesterday.
Exactly.
It's like you don't know what it's like you just met me today. Do you realize I was about to marry somebody 2 months ago?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they looking at you like, and you hear it all the time, all these eligible bachelors, why y'all still single?
Right.
And not realizing that just in February, you experienced a car crash of your heart.
Yes, sir.
And they look at you in May and be like, well, that's, but you ain't over it yet. And you be like, well, yeah, I'm over it, but doggone it. Do you think I'm supposed to just marry somebody else the next month?
No. I needed time, brother. And that's why when we met, I was like, God, you are doing something incredible here, man.
Connected us. I was sitting across the table from you. I said, this is crazy. And then you showed me the remix video, and I was like, oh my, because I'm telling you, when I recorded that video, and this is where people have to understand, I was so nervous. Because I said, first of all, there's 2 things. I'm Mr. Dear Future Wifey. No one knew that I was dating anybody in that intentional. And I don't just date people to be like, oh, I'm just hanging out or whatever.
Yeah.
That was somebody I said, this is my wife.
Yeah.
So no one knew that. And I said that I don't believe in keeping secrets, but I keep it private. So we were private by social media standards, but if you
Sure.
were around and saw us around, we were around, you're going to see us together. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see I ain't finna have her way off in the distance. I'm going to hold her hand. I'm going to do it. So certain events that I was at, people saw us. They was like, oh, Laterra's all booed up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yeah.
And so now here I am creating this. Now I had this podcast where I've submitted myself to be transparent and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I said, there's no way I can be Laterra's and not share this moment.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting on my couch. It was New Year's Eve, and God said, go in. And I didn't have nobody scheduled for that upcoming Wednesday. God said, you're supposed to be the next episode. I said, that's a lie. I said, that is an absolute lie. I am not about to do that.
Right.
Because it was twofold. I don't want to be that dang vulnerable. I knew I couldn't sit on this. I mean, that just happened a week before.
Yeah.
I know I was going to break down crying on the episode. So I
Yeah.
said, I'm not ready. Let me tell the story after I come through it. Let me find my future wifey.
Right.
And then I can say, hey, but I remember this one girl I was in love with about a year ago and this happened. I want to tell after the fact.
That's right.
God said, no, I want you in the moment, real time.
In it, when it's real, man.
I said, okay, I got you. I'm going to do it, and I promise you I ain't going to cry. And so I sat up there, and I was talking so slow. Normally, I talk fast as a habit. On that episode, y'all hear me go, and as I was going through such, I was pacing it because I said, I ain't finna cry.
Right.
And then I got to this vulnerable part in the episode, and I began to pray, and waterworks just came.
Come on, brother.
Reason why that was so important, I realized why God needed that moment to happen is because it was so many brothers after that. I was in Houston. A brother walked up to me and said, say, man, that heartbreak episode got me right here.
Yes.
A woman came and said, now I kind of feel like, now I can see what I did to this guy that was in love with me.
That part.
I owe him an apology.
Yes.
And so they'll pick up the phone and call the guy and be like, wow, how are you doing? I saw this episode where this guy was vulnerable. I did that to you. I apologize.
Yeah.
Conversations, it opened up doors for me. And what people didn't know is that I let the girl that I was dating watch the episode before I released it because she said, can I see it? She was DMing, texting me.
Right.
He said, what you do for New Year's? So I record this episode. She said, can I watch it? And I said, you know, and then I was like, man, I don't want to give you another moment. I don't want to be vulnerable with you ever again. I don't want you to have this moment.
Yeah.
And then I said, and then it was because I was vulnerable. If she would have said, oh, I'm uncomfortable with you sharing that, then it could have you know, handicapped my moment of releasing that.
Yeah.
And then she was like, that's beautiful. That's what I love about you is your ability to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And she said, that's beautiful. And she was like, do you want me to she said she wanted to record something or respond. I said, no, don't. She's going to do a whole video. She said, I'll do that. But what that spoke to me is that she was so endearing to my heart that she said, I didn't want you to be out there alone. That if you would like for me to record something or respond or write something or make a post about it, I'll do it too. I was like, nah, this right here is for me alone. But I was so grateful that she was willing to do that. But to be that vulnerable as a man is extremely, not only is it scary, but then you leave yourself up to judgment.
That's right.
Because then a woman may sit there and say, oh, like a woman that may be interested you after that point, but like, nah, you still got feelings for the other girl. You ain't ready yet. Now they telling you when you ready.
They telling you when you ready.
Yeah.
Right.
So even for you to come and say that day, it was like, God, that's why you had me do that.
That's right.
But for you to be, the biggest fear that I had is what you experienced, which is to allow the relationship to get all the way to an engagement or to a wedding and you got a runaway bride.
Exactly.
And so that's why I thanked her so much for understanding that she needed healing at that point.
That's right.
And to go ahead and end it and go work on whatever she got to work on. Because I was like March the 18th, I was going to propose to her.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
October the 23rd, we was gonna get married. Like it was
you got it all in. Boom.
It's September 23rd.
Right.
It was just, and I was just like, because we had talked about it, and I was like, okay, let's make it happen.
And people don't understand, Laterra's, that you have to, even if it's dating or significant or what, that's still a death. You have to mourn that, all the expectations, the goals, the plans, and in a lot of relationships, the man finances the relationship. So I'm like, I'm a single dad of 2 girls. I'm like, man, so the time, the money that was invested in that relationship, and it's just like gone. It's like, whoa, you got to pick up those pieces, man. And so I applaud you, man. And I even applaud her for at least circling back and actually correcting and giving you closure
Yeah.
and giving you peace of mind and giving you that letter, because man, that spoke to me so dearly. I was at an Airbnb in Atlanta with my daughters when I saw that, and I sat on the edge of my bed. I said, man, my God, this thing is powerful. And I remixed it right on the edge of my bed. Had no clue I was going to meet you a month later at Dr. Jamal Bryant's church at New Birth when they were having a mega singles weekend, and then we've been connected like this ever since then.
I
brother.
told you, I said, say, man, I need some more brothers to come on this Jamaica trip.
Yeah.
That's why you got to have friends that got a little bread in their pockets.
That's it. Come
like,
on.
Like
That's
old
right.
Dr. Delatorro, because he was like, I'm there.
All right,
I'm
right.
like, shit, all right, baller. And
That's
he
it.
just booked this trip and he came. You know what I'm saying?
And what's powerful, what did I tell you a couple minutes ago before we recorded? I said I wasn't there with any agenda. I wasn't there with a parasitic agenda to try to meet and hook up with nobody. I was there to be an extension of your brand, brother.
When
And
you said that, that touched me.
man, seriously.
You said that you came to be an extension. You called it something else. You said,
yeah, I was faculty, man.
you said faculty.
I was a life coach for your brand. I said, let me just, because there were so many women who had so many questions.
Yeah.
They wanted interaction, a man's perspective on this, a man's perspective on that, body language, how they ended their relationships, you know, how they processed their own traumas. And so I was going to get some jerk chicken, and the ocean, 12 women were in the ocean talking about the podcast that they had just been in the studio audience for. And they said, please come in this water. And we did a 2-hour coaching session
That's dope.
with these 12 women who were at your event. And I wasn't trying to holler at none of them. I ain't collect. No, I wasn't trying. That was not the goal.
Yeah.
That wasn't the goal, man. The goal was there to serve and add value to what you got going on, man. And I went on my healing journey, and I'm so grateful for that. But I think more of us really need to take our healing journees seriously. And we got to be more intentional.
And you were
man.
going to get married in Jamaica.
I was, yeah.
You see how God does that?
He brought me right back to that. He said, "Okay, cool." So it washed.
That
what it
is
did,
crazy.
It washed away the previous, right? The reference point. I've been to Jamaica a zillion times because one of my top corporate clients is there. Sagicor. Sagicor is an insurance company, financial services company. They're like the New York Life of United States, right? Massive organization. I've been to Jamaica a zillion times.
Y'all
for
need
them.
to give us some money. For
Oh, my
him.
bad.
He just pubbed y'all. We said Sagicor?
Sagicor, yeah.
Sagicor?
Yep.
I need a check. Amen,
There you
somebody.
go.
Come on, somebody.
But yeah, man. So it helped to, and I would call and touch base with some of my friends back home. I said, "Listen, I'm here in Jamaica. This is the first time I'm back in Jamaica since," and it was a healing for me. I didn't go to no strip clubs. I didn't do nothing crazy. I just sat by the ocean.
wrote.
I journaled. I wrote, and I got my healing on. And man, I'm good now. I'm in a good place. My daughters are in a good place, and that's huge, man. That means a lot. You know what I'm saying? As a dad, man, raising 2 brilliant, beautiful black girls, that meant a lot, man.
What your daughter say?
My daughters were upset, man. My daughters were crushed. They were devastated.
They
man.
loved her.
They loved her. They opened up.
How
to
old
her.
are they?
17 and 15.
Oh, you got teenagers.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So they got opinions and feelings and
Exactly.
everything.
All of that, man. They were really and so the breakup happened in the middle of February. We were supposed to take the girls on a cruise for spring break in March. It was too late to try to get the money back from the cruise. So when the breakup happened, she decided to just skip town. The girls were like, "Dad, we don't want to go on the cruise anymore," because it was supposed to be a family trip, a bonding trip with the 4 of us before the wedding.
They didn't want to go?
They didn't want to go because they was like, "Dad, you're going to be in your cabin by yourself.
I know it.
We're going to be in our room by ourselves." And the meaning of the trip was lost. And I was hurt. So we didn't go. So these are all, and I share this very transparently and openly to say, people don't understand the collateral damage.
Teach.
There's a series of domino effects that happen when you don't correctly exit. This is not about the exit. Choose to exit. Cool. You decided to get off bus. One of the things that I teach, and I believe this in life and in business, you are the bus driver. It is your job to drive the bus to the destination that God has given you. As you go along the drive, people are going to get on your bus and people are going to get off your bus. It is not your job to stop driving the bus because people get off. Come on, somebody. It is your job to keep driving the bus. And those that are meant to be on your bus
Will be on
are
the
going to
bus.
stay on your bus. But if they got to get off at this boulevard, this street, this avenue,
Let them get off.
let them go.
So let me ask you this. What would have been the correct way for her to exit?
The correct way would have been to sit down and say, "Okay, let's talk through why I feel like I need to go." we sit down and talk to the mentors who had poured into us on Zoom, gave them a chance to give us wise counsel before we just make such hasty decisions. Because we didn't get into this all hasty. It was a process. Months and months of coaching, months and months of Zoom, months and months of, and this is quality time from people who just gave us their wisdom and their insight. If that's what we did to build it, then we at least owe them a conversation before we just say it's over. The girls deserve to have come over to the house and sat down. Hey, I'm deciding I want to exit this relationship. It's just no longer serving me, but I want to look you in your eye and let you know that you're still beautiful black girls. And I'm going to exit, but your dad's amazing. You guys are amazing. This isn't personal. This is me. I got to go on my journey. That to me would have been, and that's what I would have done if I needed to exit out of a relationship. I think how we enter matters, and I think more importantly, how we exit matters.
I think this is good because a lot of people don't have the wherewithal to even know that. And I'm glad that you're providing a reference. That's why I asked what would have been the proper way of doing it, because now people go, you know what, I'm gonna be intentional on my exit I'm quote unquote intentional with my entrance. Right. And so that's extremely important.
Because that's one of the number one things you see, Laterras. You see when you look on the apps and stuff like that, the list, be intentional, be consistent. Okay, so you want me to enter the relationship that way, but you don't want to be intentional and consistent about how you communicate as you exit? I think those things are important. I think when you've entered someone's life and you've entered someone's world, really take care of that space.
You know how good that is, because it showed me what I did when I divorced my ex-wife. I told God, I said, teach me how to divorce her with grace. But we had a conversation. We talked. I said, this is where I'm at. This is where we stand. I said, the first thing I said, let's go meet with our counselors so I can tell them that this is my decision. That's what we're choosing. And then we went there and they said, hey, all right. I think they said, Laterras, don't file, wait at least 60 days. And if you still feel the same way, then, you know, whatever. And so 60 days, I said, all right. And this is what it was. But it was a real conversation that she and I had, which I see why God was able still to preserve our relationship where we still are cool with each other, is because I tried my best to handle her heart with care. You know, and
that's so important.
And that's just what that is.
And I think that brings up the ability to be able to exit without regret. So we will always suffer one of two pains in life: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is the pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. So one of the things that Tony Robbins taught me a long time ago, he said, listen, if you're going to exit a relationship, for 90 days before you exit, give that person everything that they've asked you for. Give them everything that they ask you for.
Man, I did that with, oh, I'm sorry. You're going to trigger me. Go ahead.
So his advice was, he said this to a room full of 10,000 people from 80 countries all around the world. He said, if you're going to exit a relationship, do everything you can for that person for 90 days. Light their world up. And if at the end of those 90 days, you still feel like it's not going to work, at least you can break ties knowing that you did everything you could to save it.
I've never heard that before, and I did that when I was with this old toxic chick. I said, man, I did that in 2018. I said, I'm gonna do everything that I could, everything she complained. I'm just do everything. Right. And I said, and if this don't work, and it was on a reverse. I said, if this don't work, she sure ain't the person for me. So I did everything. I took her to a trip to Cancun, got a hotel at the Ritz-Carlton. I did everything. I said, I did everything,
brother. Come on now,
did everything. And then on December the 17th. I said, oh, this ain't working. I said, you can't be the one. I said, this is too toxic. And I walked away from it. But that makes all the sense in the world.
Brother, it's powerful. And this is where I got to bring in our dear brother, Jerry Flowers, man. He said something that changed. Ooh, God, that brother. He did a reel talking about you can't change them. And in that reel, he was talking about how the best way to give yourself frustration and heartache is to try to change someone who doesn't realize that they're sick. Try to heal somebody that doesn't realize that they're toxic, right? And he said, listen, you cannot help them by giving them more of what they already don't appreciate. And bro, that just I was done. I put the phone down. I listened to that reel at least 50 times. I remixed that one too, because it was so powerful. And that's a lesson too, family. So the lesson is, when you're in your healing journey, don't just reach for the club and reach for alcohol and reach for toxicity and reach for who you can get up under. Reach for good stuff. I reached out to my mentors. I said, I'm hurting. I reached out to my inner circle and said, jump on Zoom with me. And I cried on Zoom with some of my closest friends in front of them because I had to get up the next day and give a presentation to 1,000 people. So I had to heal with integrity because I'm constantly in front of audiences.
Heal with integrity. That's a message right there. Heal with integrity.
Yes, sir.
He said I had to heal with integrity.
So important.
Break that down. What does that mean to heal with integrity?
I think in this cancel culture, in this swipe left, swipe right, in this ghosting, disappearing, silent treatment culture that we live in, because people exit so quickly without closure, we are so traumatized by their exit that most of us don't heal with integrity. We just go straight to try to, who can we smash? Who can we do? Whatever, right?
Yep.
Because the pain is so deep.
Yeah.
We don't even know how to process that level of emotional hurt. And my therapist, she said, no, this hurt you.
Yeah.
Don't try to intellectualize it. Don't try to spiritualize it with scripture. You were wounded. You were wounded. And man, I burst into tears all over again. So healing with integrity means delaying all the stuff that we would tend to want to do and do the stuff that you really know is going to actually work, like letting your friends in.
Yeah.
Calling people who love you and celebrate you. And I had one of my best friends in the whole world, the day that she made her exit, and I flew her back home for one-way trip, everything. She came over. She said, all I'm going to do is sit with you. I'm just going to sit in this house so you know that you're not by yourself. That's a friend right there, man. And so healing with integrity is drawing people closer to you. Because what we tend to do is we isolate.
Yeah.
When we go through something challenging or disappointing or devastating, we tend to isolate, right? But you can't isolate. Draw people closer to you, right? Scripture says, bear ye one another's burdens. Two are better than one, for they have good reward for their labor. When one is down, the other was there to pick them up. So I call it chapter 8 in my book, shift your posse, because who you ride with matters. Pull your posse close to you. And that's exactly what I did. Healing with integrity meant I pulled my closest guy friends and my closest lady friends and my mentors close to me. And I said, I'm hurting, man. And they were there for me and they coached me. They encouraged me. And I journaled and I wrote and I cried. And I journaled and I wrote and I cried. And I took trips and I did all the stuff I needed to do to get better. And now I'm great. Now I'm awesome, right? But to me, that is healing with integrity. And healing with integrity also is, watch this, champ, I talk about it in the book, shifting from this happened to me to this happened for me.
I love that when you spoke about that. I want you to break that down
Yes,
because
brother.
I was wanting to ask you about
Brother,
that. What's the difference?
Can I give the Dr. Delatorro breakdown?
Go ahead.
Bro, this is so sickening. Watch this. So here's the truth. Most of us process the traumas that we've been through in life as life happened to me. And when you process it as life happened to me, you get to be the victim.
Yes.
Watch this. I'm going to say it slowly. You get to be the victim, which means there is some secondary gain to you being the victim. Well, what is secondary gain, Dr. Delatorro? Secondary gain is some perceived advantage that you receive from remaining in a disadvantaged position. I'm going to say it again. Secondary gain is a psychological term that explains the perceived benefit we get from remaining in a disadvantaged position.
A perceived benefit.
A perceived benefit, right? So as long as I get to be the victim, my girlfriends are always coming over, consoling me. I get all the attention. I'm like the fine chick that goes to the club with the ugly girls.
Yeah.
All the focus, all the attention's on me, right? So you get all the benefit of time, attention, coaching, coddling, right? All, woe is me, oh my gosh. So all the attention's on you when you get to be the victim. Right? So as long as you process the divorce, the bankruptcy, the rape, the incest, the sexual, no matter what it was, the financial devastation, the whatever, when you process it as it happened to me, you get to be the victim.
Right.
The problem with that is that you are also at the effect of some other cause.
Talk about it.
And when you're at the effect, this is according to neuroscience, when you're at the effect of some other cause, you never win. Because it's the cause They always
dictate.
Yeah, they're always dictating because I'm on the other side. I'm on the wrong side of the equation. And Scripture says we are more than conquerors. So hold on, we got to flip the script. I got to say, instead of this happening to me, which allows me to be the victim, it somehow happened for me.
Which goes back to the Scripture, for I know all things work together for the good of them that love God and to the called according to His purpose.
Yes, sir. So as soon as I say it somehow happened, and I want you to put the somehow in there because at first when you say it happened for me, it's not going to make sense.
Right.
God uses the foolish things to confound the wise.
Yeah.
So it's not going to make sense. That's why somehow this divorce is happening for me. Somehow her walking out is happening for me. Somehow him talking about me is happening for me. Somehow that job layoff is happening for me. I don't understand it all right now. But I don't have to understand it all. I don't have to understand it all. But somehow this is going to work out for me. And if I just hold on.
Teach.
And if I just hang in there, and when I get to the end of my rope, I tie a knot in the end of that rope and hold on a little bit longer. God is going to reveal why He sent me through what He sent me through.
Teach.
Because we're delivered by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
Teach.
Maybe He sent you through it because He knew you had a big enough mouth to actually share what would happen on the other side. So is it possible, Lateris, that God trusts us with trouble? Is it possible that He trusted you with that calamity? He trusted you with that crisis. He trusted you with that breakup so that you would learn some principles and concepts to be able to help other people heal with integrity. So as soon as I say it happened for me, now I get to be the victor. Now I get to be at cause, and life gets to be at effect. Come on, somebody. Come on, brother. We got to shift it to a higher gear, man.
Oh, Jesus.
We got to shift it to a higher gear, bro. And what I did was, when I realized that she was not my biker posse, and she got off the bike of the motorcycle of my life, I said, okay, let me heal with integrity so that way the right person can get on my bike. Because here's the truth. Who rides with you in your car doesn't matter, right? If they act the fool in the backseat, it doesn't really matter. But on the motorcycle, who you ride with is absolutely everything.
I heard.
Because if they don't lean when you lean, if they don't move when you move, if they don't shift when you shift, brother, it's over. So we have to be 10 times more intentional about who rides with us in life and business and in love. And when that person no longer fits, and when their part of the story of your life is over, as one of my mentors, Dr. George Fraser, said, bless them and release them.
There it is.
I wish you well. I wish you nothing. I wish no harm to you. But we can no longer continue to move forward together. But I got to go on my healing journey with integrity so that I can be the best version of myself for when she does show up. And I think that speaks to the second thing, Champ, which is we got to make sure that we're ready for what we're asking God for.
Teach.
One of the biggest things that we talked about in Jamaica is a lot of the women in that sister circle, they said, you know what? I realize that I'm asking God for all this stuff, but I haven't taken the time to be
what I'm asking
the
for.
very thing I'm asking for.
Yep.
So when it shows up, it shows you a mirror of what you're not.
Yeah.
And so we have to be really, really careful because I believe a lot of us are out here saying, oh, I want this, I want that. You want something real until something real shows up. And when that real thing shows up and it scares the heck out of you.
Yep. Let me ask you this, because after said individual walked out, see, you know you was preaching because you got your little towel with you.
I sweat easy, man.
Well, you was preaching. That's what you were doing. I promise you. Put he was preaching in the comments right now. Put he was preaching. Let me tell you something. Man. After that situation, you showed me a video of a woman that you had met. What was that experience like?
So I took a couple months healed, like 3-4 months healed. And then I was like, okay, cool. I'm trying to be intentional about, because one of the things that I had experienced was long distance wasn't really working for me. So I said, okay, let me try to focus on dating locally. But I know I've traveled so much, it's hard to date. It's hard to meet people local. So
and where do you live?
I'm in Tampa.
Okay, you're in Tampa, Florida.
So I got one of the apps on my phone so I can meet more people locally. So a flight attendant was coming through my town. I thought she was based in Tampa, but she wasn't. Anyway, we hit it off, clicked, whatever, started talking, chatting, things of that nature. And things were going great. They were going awesome. We talked for about 2 weeks, FaceTime and all, exchanging core values. And we'll talk about that in a second, because that's one of the first things I do.
You find out their core values?
Yeah, I see my off rip. Off rip, bro. First conversation, I'm asking about core values. I'm asking about healing. I'm asking about what I don't need to know what you went through. You ain't got to tell me that till date 16.
Yeah.
I just need to know that you've gone to therapy about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's important, right?
Yeah.
So healed is the new sexy for me. So it's like, so I asked a lot of intentional questions. I said, do you have a list? She gave me her list. I asked her, I gave her my list. And we compared all this great stuff.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, she goes on vacation with a travel group, and she kind of disappears 2 or 3 days into the trip. And then like about a week afterwards, no communication whatsoever, just ghosted. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And we were communicating beautifully. There was no issues. There was no arguments, none of that.
How long time frame? How long
That was
y'all?
about 2 weeks that we were talking before
Okay.
she went on her trip, right?
Okay.
So I gave her space to do her trip, but then she completely ghosted, disappeared. I'm like, what the heck happened? And about a week and a half after she ghosted, I said, listen, I don't like open loops.
Yeah.
So if you can please, this is over time. I said, if you can please just let me know if your interest has shifted.
Right.
I appreciate it.
That's fair.
I like to close it and be done with it.
That's fair.
So she sent me back, instead of a text, she
That
sent
video.
me an 8-minute video. I showed it to you.
Yeah.
And in the video, she said, I asked God, the day before I met you on this app, I asked God to give me a man of integrity, a man who was about his business, a man who was a good father, a man who was ambitious, a man who blah, 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 blah. She said the very next day I ended up meeting you on this app. And she said, I got to be honest with you. You scared the SHIT out of me.
Yeah, I saw it.
She said, you scared the SHIT out of me. She said, because I saw the very thing I said I wanted.
Yeah.
And I realized that I wasn't ready for the thing I talked to. She said, I talked to God for like an hour the night before I ended up meeting you. And she said, you held a mirror up to me, and just your presence alone helped me realize that I was not ready for the very thing I prayed for. And Brian, I called you. I said, man, how many of us are out here praying and saying, God, send me this, and you're not even ready for the thing that he's going to send you? Because we serve a prayer answering God.
When I tell you, man, that's why people say the dating pool got pee in it.
It's got pee. It's got arsenic. It's got chlorine. All kinds of
Which
stuff
is
in it,
perfect
man.
for this part though, because I took a little notes.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me what confirmation bias is.
Woo! Don't you start this, bro.
I want to know what this is because you talk about this. So what is confirmation bias? I want you to tell the people.
So most of us end up dating the same person multiple times. They just change faces and names because we didn't realize that in order to change the mate, you got to start by changing the bait. I'm going to say that again slower. Most of us end up dating the same person multiple times. They just change faces and names because we don't realize that in order to change the mate, we have to start by changing the bait.
Oh, Lord.
Okay? You got to pick up a copy of the book, Shift into a Higher Gear. It'll bless your whole soul. Watch this. Confirmation bias is a psychological phenomenon, Lateris, that basically helps us be right. Watch where I'm going. If you say in your mind, all men are dogs,
Right.
all men are players, all women are about that bag and they don't care. Whatever your belief, yet be careful. Please write this in the comments. I have to be careful what I believe.
There it is.
Whatever you believe, your brain is going to help you believe whatever you feel you believe.
There it is.
So confirmation bias says this: once you have a strongly held belief about a thing, your brain will show you more proof and evidence that shows you that the thing that you believe is correct. And at the same time, Lateris, hide from you any evidence to the contrary. I can't even breathe right now.
That's why they say when people are looking for problems in a relationship, they're gonna find all the problems.
Yeah, exactly. So if you believe, if you believe this isn't gonna work, if you believe he's a dog, if you believe she's a player, if you believe that, your brain is so intelligent. Your brain's gonna go on assignment to find all the proof to make you right. He is a dog. She is a dog. She is a gold digger, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Your brain is trying to make you right. So it's gonna show you, hey, here's more evidence and proof that how you feel is right. And it intentionally, watch this, Lateris, hides from you
The evidence that's contrary.
Evidence that's contrary. So confirmation bias says if you think all white people are a certain way, they're gonna show you, your brain's gonna show you all the whack white people, and all the amazing white people are gonna be hidden from you. So here's the question. Who and what is being hidden from you because you have a strongly held belief that is making you right, but it's not making you happy?
Woo! God, dog. And for those that are biblically based, there's a scripture that says, as a man thinketh, so is he. And so that's the biblical context for it. That if you keep thinking on these things, that's why the Bible says to think on these things that are pure, these things are holy, things are
lovely.
good.
Come on,
it talks
somebody.
about that thing because the minute you always think on, I probably end up gonna get cancer. I probably just like my mom, and I probably gonna die before I get 35, just like my grandma. You start saying all this stuff, you
decree it, and it shall be established.
There it is.
So I want you all. Here's what I want to give everybody an assignment. Is that
Come
okay?
on, yeah.
I want you to put together a list of affirmations.
There it is.
Of the things that you want in your relationship. And I want you to print it out and put it all over your house. Put it on the mirror as you're brushing your teeth. Put it on the toilet, on the wall opposite your toilet. So when you're handling your business, as the bad stuff is going out, good stuff is going in. Come on, somebody.
Teach.
So these are the things I teach you in the book. You have to begin to start to literally put positive things in your mind and decree and declare positive affirmations. There's an amazing man out there that loves me, that cannot wait to lavish me with chivalry, with compassion, with consistency, with dedication. Speak that. Not none of these dudes are worth anything, right? Speak what you want, not what you don't want. I'm about to get in trouble again because here's something powerful. You have to understand something about the way that the brain works. Your subconscious mind, Lateris, cannot process a negative directly. I'm going to say it again. The subconscious mind cannot process a negative directly. So if I say don't, think of a pink elephant in the corner of a room. What's the first thing you think about? The pink elephant, right? Yeah. Because the subconscious mind responds to commands or suggestions. So watch this. This is how it shows up in relationships. Have you ever been in an argument with somebody that you love and care about? And you say, don't you lie to me. What you really just said to their unconscious mind is lie to me, because the unconscious mind can't process the don't. I'm gonna prove it to you. Lateris, have you ever told a kid don't spill the juice?
Yeah, and they spill it right afterwards.
What you say? Hey, don't kick the ball in the street. Where does the ball go every time? In the street. As soon as you say don't, and then you put a command behind don't, what the unconscious mind heard was the command. So what we have to learn how to do is speak what we want, not what we don't want.
Teach.
So what we have to learn how to say is, tell me the truth. I will honor your honesty.
There it is.
Instead of don't lie to me, right? Say, hold the cup with both hands, baby, versus don't spill the juice. Say, keep the ball in the yard instead of don't kick it in the street.
That's good.
Right? Don't cheat on me when you go on your boys' trip. What did you just do? You gave him permission to go do something. Because the unconscious mind only responds to commands or suggestions.
That's deep.
So we have to learn how to communicate better. These are the things that I teach people, because I train speakers and authors and coaches, and I help them get into this industry. I've been doing this 20 years. And so my degree is in communication and curriculum design, instructional systems from Florida State. So I think differently than the way the average person does, man.
I love that.
Yeah, man.
What got you into this? What got you into building curriculums and all this stuff?
So true story, bro. So this is honest. So I grew up in the church. Love God, serve God my whole life. But I never felt the call that I was supposed to pastor. So if you have a gift to speak and communicate in the church setting,
you're a pastor.
Right. You automatically get labeled. But I never felt like I was called to do that. So I took a spiritual gifts inventory in college, and I scored highest in exhortation, administrative, and leadership. So I was like, what is exhortation? So I went up to my pastor at the time, and they said, listen, that's the gift of the exhorter. You have a gift to encourage, to edify, to build up people. And I was like, man, this is awesome. I started studying the greats, the Les Browns, the Tony Robbins, the Zig Ziglars of the world, the Patricia Fripps of the world, the Dr. Maya Angelou's of the world. And I said, man, these people make a living being positive. And so, bro, that's exactly what I decided to do. So I started studying the craft. I joined Toastmasters International, and I started developing the gift. And I knew that God had anointed me for the marketplace.
There it is.
And so for the last 20 years, even though people have called me a bootleg preacher, even though people have called me a jackleg preacher.
Why they call you? Why they reference you to a preacher?
Because I'm anointed to do what I do, and the anointing is tangible. So at the end of the day, I know I can take my anointing to mega churches, corporations, associations, conventions. I've given over 4,000 documented paid talks all over planet Earth.
I saw that in your bio. You really did 4,000.
4,000. I've over 4,000 pages.
You said 20 years.
I've been doing this 20 years, champ. 20 years full time. This is my 20-year anniversary this year that I've been doing this full time all over the world. 4,000 paid talks all over the globe. And I just got back from Portugal, and I told you what we made for that, brother.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm your agent. You owe me 10%.
There you go. Right. But so I teach speakers. I teach people how to get into this industry. I have a 3-day boot camp called Crush the Stage, where I teach people how to develop platform skills and presentation skills, because it's one of the only speaker training programs that's been in Speakers Magazine, National Speakers Association Magazine, and Toastmasters Magazine. And I just used the gift of speaking and communication in the marketplace because God anointed me for business. And when Jesus recruited his disciples, the majority of them cats were marketplace people.
So why what demographic is calling you a bootleg, jackleg preacher?
People in the church. Because if you're impactful in the world, that's cool. But if you can come into a church and rip a church up.
Also, you still speak at churches?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I speak at mega churches to this day.
Okay.
I've been on all the major Christian networks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So what they feel like you should just stay in the church?
Yeah, you're a jackleg preacher, you're a bootleg preacher, you're running from your calling.
Oh, that's what they're saying.
Because I didn't decide to just become a straight pastor. That's not what God called me to do.
Yeah,
I'm a marketplace dude, and I am impactful in churches. I do team buildings for churches. I do staff development for churches all over the world.
So that's what it is. They just feel like you running from your calling.
Yeah, because I'm not pigeonholed only in the four walls of the traditional church structure.
Oh,
and because I've made the decision to be marketplace, it's been an amazing journey for me.
Yeah, because I don't see it as that. I see it's the best of both worlds. It ain't like you out here, you running the strip club,
exactly.
And then you over here preaching.
Exactly.
You're motivating people.
And that's what's so cool. So literally, I've had pastors, evangelists, teachers, preachers, prophets come through my Crush the Stage program, come through my Speaking Business Mastery program to learn how to, what I call, pull a Dr. John Maxwell.
Yeah.
To go from being a pastor to being in the marketplace and impacting people all over the planet. So that's a gift that God has given us to be able to do, to train people. People can learn more about it at crushthestage.com. That's our 3-day speaker training.
When's the next one?
My next one's coming up in August of this year. It's powerful because I teach you how to be impactful in the business arena.
We need to do an affiliate link. I need an affiliate link. You have an affiliate program?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna put affiliate link and I'm gonna put a program on there.
That's right.
I'm gonna put in the description or whatever.
Right. Yeah, it's important. It's important because people need to develop that skill. Warren Buffett said the most important business skill you'll ever develop is that of public speaking. And look at what you've done with the Dear Future Wifey podcast, because the predominant skill you're using, brother, is public speaking.
Yeah.
It's presentation.
That's what God always called me. But again, it's been a call in my life to be a preacher and all that since I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
Called to ministry. And I started doing that. I would preach at churches when I was 18 and 19 and 20. And I would preach at churches. And I kept saying, while I still have an affinity towards the traditional church, I knew that the impact could be greater outside the four walls of church, and I could vacillate between the two. Right. And so I don't want to run totally away from the church where I'm not doing anything. Absolutely. But because my pastor been like, you a preacher. He did before he was Pastor Evan Connor. Before he became my pastor, he came on the podcast, and before he came on, he was saying, "I'm gonna need you to come preach at my church during our relationship series."
Yeah.
And I said, I ain't no preacher. And he looked at me like I lied. And then I said, he looked at me like, and I said, well, I used to preach back in the day. I don't do that no more. And then he said, man, once a preacher, always a preacher. You're going to come and preach at church. And then so I said, no, what I can do is do my podcast. So I curved him. I said, we're going to do the podcast. And so he was like, okay. So then I thought I had slicked him. And we did the podcast.
Right.
I got out of it. And then the next week he called me. He said, I was in prayer with the Lord. And the last week we want to close out the relationship thing. And we want to, I want to have you come back. I said, oh, so you and both of us, we can do the podcast? He's like, no, you're going to preach. I said, hold on. I said, what? He said, no. He said, I let you do your thing the last week. Yeah. This time, now you finna come and preach. We're going to tag team preach together.
Go. That's right.
And I was like, God, you got jokes.
Come on.
I said, you got jokes. And that's what we did. And that thing was powerful. Wow. That was last September. It was absolutely powerful.
That's amazing.
But it was God wrangling me back in, was saying, hey, I've given you a calling of your life. I'll let you do what you do, but come on and do what I need you to do on my side.
And I think it's a both and. It's not an either or, right?
Exactly.
And I want to speak to that for a quick second, because because it's so important. I think we struggle because we feel like I can only do this or that.
Yeah.
And it's not, we don't serve a this or that God.
There it is.
I believe that we serve a both and God.
Yes.
2/3 of God's name is go. So why are we sitting back procrastinating, right?
He said 2/3. Y'all, you can't be just dropping that. He said 2/3 of God's name is go.
2/3 of his name is go. So why are we sitting back procrastinating? Why are we sitting back, oh, woe is me, I don't know. Listen, command reveals potential. If he told it to you, he gave you the ability to pull it off.
Teach.
So it's so important that we get that and we embrace that, the fact that it's both and. I love ministering in churches. I love ministering to the body of Christ and helping the body of Christ become all that God died for them and rose for them to be.
Yeah.
But I also love speaking to corporations and associations and conventions and pro sports teams and training entrepreneurs and doing all that great work too. And I believe that we're allowed to do both. And that's why I'm so grateful for friends of mine like Dr. Jamal Bryan and Dr. Darius Daniels and Pastor Keon Henderson and so many and Pastor John K. Jenkins. Baptist,
let me tell you something about that old Keon. Let me tell you about that Keon. I went and visited his church for the first time a couple of weeks ago. That joker bad.
Incredible, man.
Oh my God. I was sitting up there, I
incredible.
said, this joker is bad.
Unbelievable, man.
I was like,
So his spiritual father is in my speaker training program right now.
Really?
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. That's the beautiful part about being able to be in these circles. And those gentlemen have constantly said to me, you stayed in your lane. Congratulations.
Staying in your lane.
You stayed in your lane. Bishop Jake said to me, because I was a part of Project Gideon for 10 years. And it was a mentorship program that he did for young up-and-coming speakers, under ministers and teachers and preachers under the age of 40.
You were in the program?
I was in Project Gideon, yes. And he said, you staying in your lane, you're staying marketplace. Don't let nobody push you into something, accepting a call. That's not what God called you to do.
That's good.
So I've had really amazing men and women of God who encourage me to stay in my lane and do what you do. And that's what I've done, man.
That's why you're killing it, boy. You're killing the game. I'm proud of you, King, because it's like that's how you're flowing in your, I call it your God space.
Yes, sir.
This is your God space. That's why it's so effortless for you. You can just do what you do. People see it. They recognize the gift. They pay you top dollar. I was about to say that. I was about to say
times on the Today Show.
So that's what I want to talk about. Because I'm jealous. It's okay to be jealous of your brothers.
Come on, brother.
I'm jealous.
Hey, champ, peer pressure is a good thing when you got the right peers.
There it is.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
So you made it 5 times on the Today Show about the same book.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How in the world did that happen?
With no publicist. Like you say like you say all the time.
God is my publicist?
God is my publicist. Exactly. So a PR firm did get me on the first time I got on, and that was a virtual interview.
Because during COVID.
It was during COVID. But every other live interview happened because I kept pitching them amazing ideas from different chapters in my book. And that's what I'm saying. That's why. So I teach authors. I teach people how to write incredible books and then pitch those books to the media so that way you can get interviewed. That's one of the most important things you need to do.
You just pitching different concepts from the same
different
book?
Concepts, exactly. When I leave here in Dallas tomorrow, I'm going to Denver.
Yeah.
I took a 5-minute interview that I got twice on DBL, Daily Blast Live, and now they've asked me to be a co-anchor for an entire hour. These doors keep opening up because that's the curriculum design. That's embracing the marketplace. That's taking, Scripture says, let your light so shine before men.
There it is.
That they will see your good work and give God all the credit for it.
Yeah.
And I think the more we can let our light shine in the marketplace, man, you're needed. You're necessary. I'm needed. I'm necessary. And there is no competition. It's both and. It's not either or. And the more we can learn that, bro, and this is going to help somebody on their healing journey. There's a psychological concept called dialectical thinking. I only learned this because I've gone to therapy. Dialectical thinking says, this is going to set somebody free right now, Doc.
Teach.
Dialectical thinking says that 2 opposing thoughts can coexist at the same time. Let me break it down for you. So many times we struggle in our healing journey because we're like, okay, I don't trust that person anymore. So since I don't trust them, I surely can't forgive them. And so we struggle because we have an either or mentality. But dialectical thinking says, I forgive you and I don't trust you. And both opposing views are allowed to coexist at the same time.
That's good.
Which means I'm a masterpiece and a work in progress. Good God have mercy. I'm about to run. I'm a masterpiece. I'm amazing as I am, and I'm a work in progress at the same time. Come on, somebody.
You better teach.
I got a few extra pounds, and I still look good as hell right now. Come on, somebody. At the exact same time. I'm broke as a joke, and I'm reading a wealth book right now at the same time. Your two opposing views can coexist at the same time. So it allows me to say, I bless you and release you, but I don't want nothing else to do with you. Both thoughts can coexist at the same time. The law of polarity says, as long as there is day, there is night. As long as there is up, there is down. As long as there is left, there is right. And left does not mean that right does not exist. They coexist simultaneously. This is the benefit of therapy. My friend, I need y'all to understand, if you help humanity in any way, shape, form, or fashion, go to therapy. You will learn terminology. You will learn language. You will learn confirmation. You will learn so much that will help you not only help yourself, but it will help you help others. I am so grateful that I pay my daughters go through therapy, and I gladly pay for them to go through therapy. Why? Because I believe in the importance of getting emotionally well. Because, man, once we heal with integrity, then we can heal the planet. Put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help anybody else. And when the oxygen starts to flow, even though the bag does not inflate, trust that it's still flowing. Good God have mercy.
You know, sometimes I talk to people and I just can't talk no more. I just kind of just sit there and be like, it's one of them episodes I'm gonna have to watch back.
Well, they could be taking crazy notes, man.
Oh, you notice it's dropping.
If they enjoy the content, man, this is the book. Shift into a higher gear. They can pick it up on Amazon.
Into a higher gear
it's
on Amazon, on Audible. Go get this book.
It's a Wall Street Journal USA Today bestseller, man. God is good, man.
Man, you have downloaded so much stuff into our hearts and our minds. I thank you for your vulnerability. I thank you for your transparency as a man to be able to show up as a king. This is what kingship looks like.
Yeah, bro.
Is when you can say, hey, listen, you know, I was broken, but here I stand.
Yeah,
you know, I was just a couple of months ago. If you saw me, I was on Zoom calls with my circle of influence.
Yeah,
and I was shedding tears because I had a speaking engagement the next day. I had to encourage others where I couldn't even encourage myself at this moment.
Bro. Come on,
but look at me now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about. Is for us to encourage other brothers to continue to show up. Don't isolate yourself.
That's right.
Don't run and hide. We're going to dispel this nonsense of real men don't cry. When we were younger, be like, hey, you're a big boy, don't cry.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No, we're going to cry
about.
I'm going to something to cry about. No, I'm going to cry. I'm going to let this stuff go because it's too often African-American men are dying from heart attack. And it's crazy. Our stress level is through the roof.
Absolutely.
And we just got to dispel that. So thank you for being a reference point for other kings to be able to say, hold on, now if Dr. Delatorro can admit that he shed tears and a woman broke his heart, and if that old bald-headed Lateris can say the same thing,
come on now.
I'm all right. I'm gonna be okay going through this heartbreak. I'm a heal, and I'm gonna be better.
Come on, somebody. That's so important, man.
It was a quote that God gave me. He said, "I will deal, I will heal, and God will be revealed."
Ooh.
And that was the process I had to go through. I said, I will deal, I will heal, and God will be revealed. Because at the end of the day, deal with whatever it is.
Yes,
don't try to, like you said, what you say,
let the hurt hurt.
Let the hurt hurt.
Yeah,
let it hurt.
Yeah,
cry, get that mess out.
Yeah,
and then that's how you deal with it, and then heal from it. Go through therapy, go through whatever process you gotta go through to excavate that pain, that hurt, and then not to bleed on other people by saying, see, all these women, you can't trust these women. See, the minute you find a woman and you're intentional with them, see, that's what's wrong. When y'all say y'all want a real man, but then y'all really. No.
And I made sure I didn't surround myself with any jokers that would say that kind of foolishness.
Good.
I really believe it. I'm very intentional. I don't have any negative people in my life.
There
brother.
it is, me too.
It's so important, man. Listen, God gave us our family, but we get to choose our friends.
There it is.
So choose wisely.
Yep, and we get to choose how much influence, how much influence that our family has on us. Yeah, because you got family members that be like, "No, see, I told you she was this, and I told you."
Right.
You
with the wrong one.
Yeah, you with the wrong one.
Right.
You got to speak to me the way my heart speaks to me.
Exactly.
You're a reflection of my heart, and if you over here telling me that something is opposite of what I believe and feel, then I can't. You ain't a safe space for me to talk to.
Exactly.
So listen, Dr. Delatorro, they can get this book. How can they connect with you?
I'm at Dr. Delatorro on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, everything. Our primary website is delatorro.com. Our email is delatorro@gmail.com. And man, we're just excited about all the great work that God is doing in us and through us. If you want to learn more about our speaker training, that's crushthestage.com. We have a 5-day challenge called Monetize Your Message. That's monetizeyourmessagechallenge.com.
That's good.
Yeah, man.
That's good. And I'm going to drop a link to your social media or your website or all the above in the description. And I know these women want to know this. Are you still single?
I'm single. Yes, I'm single. Like
he's single. So, you know, with black folks, we started making our own language. You could be single, but are you single?
Single.
I'm you know, it's like, no, he rich, or she po. You know, you know, you got to add it twice for confirmation.
I'm single.
And so you single.
Single. Yes,
there
sir.
it is.
Yes,
Do you answer DMs?
Yeah, I do.
So women slide in your DMs. Do you have women slide in your DMs?
Not that often, but when they do, I definitely respond.
Oh,
absolutely.
What happened? You don't dear future wifey?
Come on. I was told I need to be warned about that.
Oh yeah, you don't dear future wifey, boy. We about to hit 350,000 subscribers by tomorrow. We're about 200 subscribers away.
Come on.
And we're gonna hit about 250,000. So it's a lot of amazing women that watch the podcast looking for an intentional man like yourself.
Amen.
And so they see it.
Yeah.
You just did your whole resume right in front of everybody about how you think, how you operate, how you make sure that your core values align with said individual.
Yeah,
and,
that's huge.
And they looking like, I think that's my husband. So women, I'm gonna tell y'all this. This is a caveat, and y'all saw this. Hopefully, if y'all saw the episode in Jamaica.
Yeah.
But one thing that Basilia said that even though she felt like that was her husband, and even though she felt like God told her, she wasn't the one that initiated and said to him, "You're my husband." You can feel whatever you feel. Keep that internal.
Yeah.
Internalize that and let the man pursue.
Absolutely.
Remember, I always say, men should pursue and not persuade, and the woman should present and not pursue.
That's right.
Remember that. Hey, y'all give it up for my boy, Dr. Delatorro, y'all.
Love you, King.
Hey, man, I love you, King. That's what's up, bro. We in this thing.
We go right until the wheels fall off.
There it is.
Ladarian, thrusted suddenly into Child Protective Services in 2015. My nephew, black, a boy. The likelihood of being adopted outside of kinship, slim to none. Armani, 16 years old, black, a boy, with 5 years in the foster care system before I even knew his name. The likelihood of ever being adopted, yep, you guessed it, slim to none. While Ladarian and Armani were trying to survive and barely thrive in an overpopulated and underfunded foster care system, I was living my own life, doing well professionally. Having been a single father with a daughter who at that point was doing well in college, it was my time to live my life, right? Wrong. I felt unsettled, tireless, agitated. There are just too many of our black children stuck in ambiguity and in the limbo of the foster care system. In 2017, I legally adopted my nephew, Ladarian. Fast forward to 2019, I had no ties to this other young king, but I felt God instructed me to adopt him also, and I obeyed. Starting over with parenting should have been enough, right? Working with various foster care and adoption agencies to help bring awareness to the countless young black kings in the foster care system should have decreased my agitation, right? Joining the board of directors of Advantage Adoption, an organization that helps find permanent adoptive homes for children in foster care, should have led to some type of resolve, right? No, not at all. None of it felt like I had done enough. I now realize that every one of those experiences was laying the fundamental foundation for my life's mission, Kingdom Royale. Kingdom Royale will be a luxury, state-of-the-art home for foster boys. Our first location will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We will utilize the whole person approach that instills identity, empowers them to advocate for themselves, and enlightens them regarding new perspectives and limitless options that they thought were impossible. Though the young kings will attend the local public schools that are in proximity to Kingdom Royale, our at-home curriculum will broaden their worldview through participating in the arts, attending various cultural events, learning about and engaging in multifaceted discussions about current events and even relevant historical context, introducing them to gardening and landscaping and even caring for our animals on our farm and on-site stables. We just launched our Startup Capital campaign with the goal of raising $2.8 million. Now, why $2.8 million? Well, in 2017, I created a web series in which I performed random acts of kindness for targeting the homeless community. One of the most notable successes was that one of the videos went viral, garnering 28 million views. However, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't raise a single dollar to help in implementing a more sustainable plan for the homeless community. So throughout the years, with much remorse, I reflected on not maximizing that moment. I knew if at that time, just 10% of the viewers donated $1, we would have raised at least $2.8 million that could have really established long-term support for the homeless community, or at least started a long-term initiative to do so. This is my do-over. This is our new beginning. Together, we can attack this at the root by specifically helping our homeless Black boys who are already disproportionately represented in the American foster care system. I'm Delatorro R. Whitfield. I've been nominated for 3 regional Emmys documenting my work with the homeless as well as my personal adoption journey. Despite those accolades, the greatest award for me is truly providing the infrastructure for a transformed life. Visit kingdomroyale.com for more details. Crown a king and make a donation today.
You have no idea how much I enjoyed talking to my brother, Dr. Delatorro. I mean, it's wow. Oh boy, I hope y'all got a lot out of this episode. Those of you who are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, make sure you leave a review, rate the episode, and any platform that you're listening to us on, make sure that you respond. And the way you respond is by simply leaving a comment, review, or rate it so that it can build in the algorithms, and that's how we rank, top 10 consistently on Apple Podcasts or any other platform by you being engaged with it and letting them know that you're watching us. So thank you so much for all of you who have been supporting this podcast. I appreciate you. Well, here's my favorite part of the podcast where I speak to my future wifey. Dear future wifey, 2 words: confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is our tendency to cherry pick information that confirms our existing beliefs or ideas. Let's be super aware of confirmation bias to help shorten disagreements and to mitigate double downing on unhealthy thoughts that can cause dissension between us. Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. My love, let's accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and latch on to the affirmative. I will edify you with each syllable, love you down to the minuscule, and cover you because I'm intentional. Your future hubby.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving. Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.